The name's Shannon.
And I'm Derek.
And we work here, but who cares, right?
So I suppose you're new listeners. How boring. Well, this is that Groovy Scoobcast.
Your go-to audio hub for all things Scooby-Doo.
Well, those episodes were great.
It actually made me speechless.
This was a combination of two 11-minute long episodes, which were a Scary Duel with a Cartoon Ghoul and E-I-E-I-O from the new Scooby-Doo and Scrappy-Doo Show. So what were your just general thoughts, Shannon?
Well, first I want to point out that they were two 11-minute episodes, but it took us almost an hour to, figure out our lives.
That was a lot of note-taking and rewinding just to kind of make sure the nonsense we saw on screen is actually what happened.
I had to make sure what I just heard was what I just heard.
Right. Well, before we dive into that review, I'd like to kick off the Mystery Machine match. How are you feeling this week for this round, Shannon?
I feel like my questions are too easy, and you're going to get them, and I probably won't get mine, and so I'm just going to still be behind in my life.
I haven't even looked at the questions yet now that I'm thinking about it.
I took a quick peek earlier, and I know I could get at least two of these, and so I just...
Do you want to trade cards?
No, because now I know the answers.
Oh, you looked at the answers?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, then I guess we're going to stick to what we got. As always, Shannon, you can go first.
What does Scooby-Doo wear to protect himself from sharks in There's a Demon Shark in the Foggy Dark?
Is there a multiple choice?
No.
I don't know. Shit. What was the name of the episode again?
There's a Demon Shark in the Foggy Dark.
Did he wear a scuba suit?
No.
No? What did he wear?
A knight's armor.
Why?
Because he's part of the gang now.
He's taking advice from the Black Knight from Scotland? That's not good advice. That guy almost drowned.
But it protected him from sharks.
Okay, well, I guess I missed that one. All right, here's my first question for you. Shaggy and Scooby-Doo disguise themselves as what in A Bum Steer for Scooby? A cow or a bull?
A cow?
A cow. Awesome. You get a point. All right, Shannon, what's your second question?
The Harlem Globetrotters appear in the episode The Ghostly Creep from the Blank. Deep or Jeep?
Deep.
Yeah. If you didn't get that, I'd be disappointed in you.
The creepy... What was
The Ghostly Creep from the
Jeep. All right. Which mama from the Mamas and the Papas appeared in the new Scooby-Doo movies?
What? That's not a multiple choice?
No, it's not.
Oh, I'm not even going to guess. I don't even know what that means.
Do you forfeit?
Yeah.
Mama Cass Elliot.
Yeah, I don't know what that is.
I think she's a singer.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know.
Sure.
All right, Shannon, your last question.
Mystery Inc. meets the ghost of what Aztec god while vacationing in Mexico?
Please tell me there's a multiple choice.
Oh, no, there's not.
No! Shit. It's Aztec,
yeah.
Right? Okay. Can I just tell you the first letter of the name, and if I get it right, I get the point?
No. But you can do that, and I might help.
Is it Q?
No.
Damn, okay. I lose. I forfeit.
I don't even know how to pronounce that.
Katazuma.
Okay.
I think.
Okay.
Katazuma?
Yeah.
All right, Shannon, here's your last question. In Scooby-Doo and the Cyber Chase, what the fuck is with these Cyber Chase questions? We get these every week.
But, I haven't seen them.
In Scooby-Doo and the Cyber Chase, what objects made the Phantom Virus become weak? Come on.
Oh, wait, I think I know it, but
You asked me this a couple weeks ago. I think you asked me who brought this item into the cyber world.
Hot dogs. Nope. I'm thinking of the video game, and that's what you had to collect.
You don't even collect hot dogs in the video game.
What do you collect?
You collect the burgers.
Oh,
My jaw
bad.
just dropped. Do you want to try that again? I will let you try. Oh my god.
I'm sorry. I'm so upset with myself. I don't know.
Magnets.
Oh. I don't think I asked that.
Yeah, you did. You asked me which character brought the magnet into cyberspace.
How?
What do you mean how?
How would you bring a magnet into cyberspace with you?
Shaggy had it in his back pocket. And that just happened to be the circumstance when they all got beamed into cyberspace.
Okay. I don't really know people that carry magnets with them, but sure.
Well, no. It was because they discovered in the real world when the Phantom Virus was out. Whatever. I'm not going to bother.
The good news is that I didn't lose any points today. I'm still 3 behind you.
What's our final tally for today?
I have 10 and you have 13.
Okay.
So
you have a lot of time to catch up.
I do. And so I didn't lose any. You didn't gain any ground on me.
Yes.
So that's the benefit of today.
I guess so.
There's the good news.
That was this week's Mystery Machine match. So are you ready to move on to the Scooby-Doo review?
Always.
All right. So, like I said at the beginning, we reviewed a Scary Duel with a Cartoon Ghoul and E-I-E-I-O from the new Scooby-Doo and Scrappy-Doo Show. We'll start off with a Scary Duel with a Cartoon Ghoul. The premise coming from Scoobipedia says, the gang goes on a Hollywood tour of Banana Toon Studios, where Scrappy's favorite cartoon, Hero Hound, is created. While there, they run into a mystery and are hired by Buster Banana, the studio head, to find out why the evil monster mutt is stealing all the films in the studio.
So, the whole gang doesn't go because Fred and Velma aren't in this.
Well, like I said when we actually watched the episode, they're not in this series.
I know.
On a regular basis. I actually do think they make like guest appearances, but nothing where they're actual regular characters like the rest. Mm-hmm. So, what were your initial thoughts when the episode first started?
Well, Daphne's driving.
Yeah.
And the van has a drawing desk, filing cabinets, and room to, like, change and run around in.
Like, it's a complete room.
Yeah, it's not a van. It's a room.
Yeah, I don't understand at all how this mystery machine works. I think we said at one point that it's basically a TARDIS.
It's a TARDIS.
Yeah, Daphne is driving the mystery machine, which kind of just goes to solidify the fact that she's the leader in this group.
Yeah, well, indefinitely.
Yeah, I mean, who else in this group would really be the leader? Scrappy?
He hopes.
One day. So the first character we meet was Miss Handle. She's the assistant to Mr. Banana at Banana Studios.
I want to add, like, how kind of extra they go to make Shaggy kind of stupid in this one.
Shaggy?
Yeah, okay, so, like, we meet Miss Handle, and she's like, you know, hi, I'm Miss Handle, we work here, blah, 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 blah. You know, do you guys have any extra questions? Yeah. What's the state bird for South Dakota?
Shaggy asked that to her.
Like, why?
Because he was being stupid. That's just one of Shaggy's corny jokes that he's always made. That's not really new.
Okay.
Like, if you watch Scooby-Doo, Where Are You? He says shit like that all the time.
I guess.
But Miss Handle's voice...
Oh my god.
It was loud. It was nasally.
It was... Sorry.
Oh.
It was god awful. It was like nails on a chalkboard.
Mr. Banana.
Mr. Banana. I don't think this is a good idea.
I swear to God, I thought she was going to be the villain.
Okay. So right when we met her, both Derek and I looked at each other and went, yeah, it's her. I don't know. We didn't know what it was at the time that was going to happen.
We didn't even know what the villain really was.
No.
What monster we were dealing with.
But it was her.
It was her. Usually we're right.
We are.
Usually we're right. I mean, in our last episode, we didn't really have any mysteries to solve.
But we knew who it was.
Well, no, there was no one as the villain. But, like, if you go back another week when we reviewed I Left My Neck in San Francisco, we were right on. It was that old lady.
Yeah.
As the vampire. And I think that we have a trend of being able to just pinpoint who the villain is. I was surprised that we were wrong.
I was. And it wasn't until, like, right before they were going to reveal, like, a few minutes. And then I was like, oh, I know who it is.
Yeah. So right after they meet Miss Handle like brings them into the room to meet with Mr. Banana.
Yeah.
And they're watching an episode of this Hero Hound, which is apparently Scrappy's favorite cartoon.
Well, and I'm assuming Scooby's too, because he dressed up as him.
Maybe it's just to entertain his nephew.
Yeah.
You know, dads and uncles.
Uncle.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like parents dress up as characters as,
yeah,
that their kids and whatever like, just for entertainment. So
I'll do that for your kids.
Don't. But anyway, Scrappy actually expresses the fact that he wants to be a cartoonist one day.
Yeah.
I actually did not know that about him.
That is literally like one of the only good things we hear him want to do with his life.
One of the good qualities. Yeah, because like in the Mystery Machine, he was like at a drawing table.
Oh yeah, and he was really excited.
Yeah, he was so excited to meet the people who actually make his favorite cartoon. He wants to be a cartoonist. He's practicing. It was really cool. And
I didn't hate him for like 2 whole minutes.
I actually liked him in this episode.
I did point out too, he's still not my favorite character, but his little puppy power thing is kind of cute.
Well, they go in to meet Mr. Banana. They sit down to watch an episode of Hero Hound. And the villain of the cartoon Hero Hound, which is Monster Mutt, he pops out of the screen and turns out to be real. Right before that happens, Scooby's like watching him almost defeat Hero Hound, and he's like, I can't look. And it's like, Scooby, he's hiding behind a wall.
Well, and Daphne goes, don't worry, it's all just a cartoon. It's not real.
Just kidding.
Literally, as she finishes saying that, Monster Mutt jumps out of the screen, and Scooby goes, oh, it's just a cartoon, right? And she goes,
Not
no,
this time.
This one's real, my bad. Like,
he was rude. He jumps out of the screen. He does this roar, and then he just runs up to the camera and punches it. Just punches it on the ground, steals all the films, and runs out of the room.
Me.
And that's when Mr. Banana, he calls, I think, Miss Handle or someone.
No. He calls security. Like, whoever was at the front, like, desk or whatever. So maybe Miss
so probably
Handle.
A receptionist or somebody. So he calls and he's like, give me the closest detective agency to the studio.
Oh, yeah.
Just so happens that Scrappy has a phone in his dog collar.
Which was weird.
That caught me real off guard when he did that. So Mr. Banana hires the Scooby-Doo Detective Agency, as they have dubbed themselves now.
Yep.
What were your thoughts on that?
It weirded me out.
Yeah?
Yeah. I don't know. It's just, I don't often think of them as having, like,
a business?
Yeah.
Well, the thing is, too, like, at this time, I don't really think the name Mystery Inc. had been established yet.
No, definitely
not. So I
not.
think Scooby-Doo Detective Agency is really, like, the original name that they've ever had.
I mean, probably. I just never, most of the time, they just show up and something happens. Mm-hmm. So the fact that, like, when they do get called and they have to talk about, like, a business name, it's always weird to see.
Yeah. They're actually being hired by someone to solve a mystery. They're not just happenstance encountering one.
Are they still high schoolers?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I feel like in this part of the Scooby-Doo timeline, no, you know what? I don't think they are. Because there is another episode, I think in this series, or maybe one around this time, where they actually return to their old high school.
Oh, okay.
So I don't think they're in high school anymore.
Okay.
But anyway, Mr. Banana hires the Scooby-Doo Detective Agency to solve the mystery of Monster Mutt. He also brings in Mr. Dimwitty, who is a security guard at the studio. And I just gotta say, he sounds like he's constantly about ready to sneeze.
Oh, Mr. Dimwitty?
Yeah.
Yeah.
His whole voice is all, again, kind of nasally, but he sounds like he's anticipating a sneeze. Like,
hey guys!
That's not it. I don't know. That's just how he sounds to me.
Yeah.
And I can't really focus on what he's actually saying, because the way he's talking, similar to Miss Handle, like, I don't really care what they're saying. It's just the fact that their voices are so obnoxious that it's like making me not pay attention.
Right. Like, I'm just waiting for you. I'm waiting for the noise to stop.
Right. Well, they go undercover as cartoonists. They go into the back and they start making their own cartoon. Which Banana,
Scrappy was so happy about.
He basically focuses on that the entire episode.
Yeah.
He's not really all that interested in the mystery. He's more so, he's trying to make this cartoon.
Yeah.
Well, Mr. Banana keeps this a secret from all the staff. So he doesn't tell Miss Handle or Mr. Dimwitty or anybody what they're actually up to. So they're in the back and Miss Handle's like, are you sure this is a good idea? And then she says, this is a mistake you're going to regret. Miss Handle says that.
Right.
And I'm like, that makes me think you're the villain.
Like,
Making sly, semi-threatening comments like that make me think you're the villain.
And a really mean one.
Kind of. Like, the thing is, Miss Handle does not turn out to be the villain.
Well, and my
so that's
thing
just
is,
her just being a bitch.
Yeah, like, I really thought that, like, she was going to be the villain, and her reasoning was going to be that she wanted to make an episode, and then, like, because that's when, like, they hired these other people to be episode writers, and she's like, well, you're going to regret that.
I was even going to throw a pitch that maybe she thinks that Hero Hound is too violent for children or something.
Oh, maybe.
You know, that was actually a common thing that was going to happen during the 13 Ghosts of Scooby-Doo era. A lot of parents thought that the 13 Ghosts of Scooby-Doo was promoting, like, Satanism or crazy things like that. Like, no, that was actually a real thing.
We'll have
So I could totally see someone like Miss Handle, based on her voice and her personality, being like one of those parents that think that Hero Hound is a Susan.
Yeah.
Oh, like her first name is just Susan?
Susan.
I'm sorry. I apologize to any audience members named Susan. Like, I really don't. I don't care. But they go into, I believe it was a space set for like a sci-fi movie.
Well, they're making a movie.
Yeah.
We don't know what kind of movie because there are a lot of monsters that are very confusing if it is all for the same movie.
Like all the costumes.
Yeah. But that's what the set is for this movie they're making.
And they encounter a actor who's wearing some kind of a mutant costume, and they suspect him as a villain because he drops a film reel.
Yeah.
And they're like, what's he doing with this? Which kind of makes sense because the monster mutt stole a few of them.
And they did try decently hard to convince us that he was the villain.
They made a lot of efforts throughout the episode.
But, like, we never fell for that.
Well, they follow him into one of the costume trailers.
Yeah.
My first question, how did he get out of the costume trailer?
Oh, because we never find that out.
And he is not in there, and we can't see any other exit.
No.
They just walk in, and there's Monster Mutt, and he's not Monster Mutt either.
No, and he's not even on the same team.
So where did he go?
I don't know.
Anyway, they run into Monster Mutt in the trailer, and he opens his mouth, and he's, like, drooling.
Oh, it was nasty.
That was disgusting.
I don't know how they did that. I don't want to know.
So he chases Shaggy and Scooby out of the trailer, and they run onto the space set. And they hop into one of the props. It was a spaceship.
But it turns out it's not a prop.
It's actually a spaceship.
That shoots lasers.
Yeah, Monster Mutt hops into the other one and chases them. The spaceships are just riding around the entire studio, and he's shooting lasers at them. So lasers. I'm caught off guard by that. And then I don't know exactly what happened in order to cause them to, like, go off track or something like that. But
yeah, I don't know.
Monster Mutt's ship ends up on top of the studio's sign, and then it crashes.
And Shaggy and Scooby end up in space.
I yelled. I was just like, what?
And then they come back down.
I was so mad.
But do you know why they don't die? Because they ran out of gas. So it couldn't finish falling because it ran out of gas.
What kind of movie or studio is this? So after that whole fiasco, they continue to work on the cartoon. So Scrappy's he's finalizing all the film. So they need to leave the workroom, and Mr. Dinwiddie stops them. And he's like, Miss Handle instructed me not to let you leave. Sounding a little suspicious, Miss Handle. So then Shaggy and Scooby throw on some kind of, farce in order to get them... They throw together some kind of act to get him to let them go.
Well, and I have a quick question, because I want to know how Scrappy learned how to edit film.
Well, it's his, dream job.
I know, but...
I don't know.
That's hard. That's something you got to go to school for, I
don't know. They go into an editing room, and they just throw together a cartoon.
Easy peasy.
I wish.
I wish I could.
When I was a kid, I actually wanted to be a cartoonist.
Really?
Yeah, this kind of cartooning, with actual drawing and stuff like that.
I did have a dream of it, and I went to, a cartooning summer class to learn how to draw. I mean, I knew how to kind of draw, but, to learn how to draw. Anyway, I went for one summer, and then I never went back.
Oh. So you gave up?
Yeah. I mean, I wanted to be a comic book drawer, though. I thought that'd be fun. Do comic books.
That would be neat. So Scrappy finishes his cartoon, and Monster Mutt attacks again.
Yep.
And now all of them are, standing on top of rolling film reels by accident, and they all like clumsily fall into the theater room.
Which the film reels would have collapsed under any of their weights.
Cartoon physics allows this to happen.
Movie magic.
Yep. So they land in the theater. They run into Mr. Banana, who evidently never leaves the theater.
Right.
He's the head of the entire company, and he never leaves this theater. But the clue that they now found, Scrappy's holding a mustache. Ew. So that points to Mr. Dimwitty.
Yeah.
Who does turn out to be the villain. So when they're sitting down and they're watching the film with Mr. Banana and Miss Handle, who's now joined them, they discover that in the movie, somehow some footage of a rocket launch got mixed up into the cartoon. Scrappy's like, that's not my movie. And then,
is really insulted.
Right, he was offended. He's like, this is my art.
How dare this rocket appear on my screen?
This leads to 2002.
That's why.
Another headcanon. The destruction of his art led him to want revenge on the entire world.
Yeah.
So they end up catching Mr.
Dimwitty
in the act of being Monster Mutt.
Which Daphne solves the mystery.
Yeah.
Just like Velma would.
Yeah, they don't need Velma here.
No.
Daphne's got this. We discussed this in a previous episode that she actually is a very intelligent girl. They don't need Velma.
She said it the exact same way that Velma would. Well, when we saw the mustache, we knew it was Mr. Dimwitty. And, like, everybody else is like, yeah,
you don't
totally.
need to be a rocket scientist in order to figure out, hey, that mustache looks exactly like the mustache that was on that weird security guard.
True, but
maybe it's the security guard.
But, like, where are you, Daphne? Wouldn't have known.
No, she wouldn't have. These are very different Daphnes.
Oh, yes.
So basically what Mr. Dimwitty was attempting to do was he became an enemy. What did they describe him as? An enemy agent.
Oh, yeah.
So a communist.
Oh! I mean, fair.
And that actor that we discussed earlier that disappeared from the costume trailer, he's an undercover FBI agent.
Which I kind of don't buy.
Well, undercover agents are actually a trope in Scooby-Doo. Like, all the time. There's an undercover cop or an undercover agent or something. It's actually really common in this cartoon. So the FBI agent was tracking down Mr. Dimwitty, and the reason why was because he stole top secret footage of a rocket launch. Which, why?
I mean, if somebody died, then... Sorry, I'm not going to get into conspiracies on this podcast.
He steals the footage and he goes to hide at Mr. Banana's studio.
Yeah.
He takes up a job as a security guard and he wants to lie low. And he accidentally...
That's where the agent was like, and that's where he messed up.
Right.
Why?
Well, no, that's not where he messed up. I don't understand how you figured out he was here. But the reason why Mr. Dimwitty was dressing up as Monster Mutt was because he accidentally mixed up the footage of the rocket launch with other film that was being handled by the studio.
Yeah.
So what he was doing was stealing film reels, trying to find the footage.
Which, had he just dressed up as a security guard and done his 8-hour shift, he could have been sitting in that room watching the reels your whole shift. And you get through a lot.
What if he just asked for the night shift?
Yeah.
Just take the night shift.
And you have a whole 8 hours of completely undisturbed time
to look through all this film.
To look through all of it. You'd find it in like a week tops.
You wouldn't have to destroy any property. You wouldn't have to...
You wouldn't have been caught.
No. Why? What was the point of Monster Mutt?
To be scary.
Whoa.
I mean, because he is very loud about being Monster Mutt. Like, he pops out of a screen and punches a camera right in front of the head of the studio.
Yeah, he's very dramatic.
Like, he wants to be known, like, hey, I'm here and I'm trying to steal film.
Right.
He's not doing it secretly at all.
That's a very common problem, I feel like, with Scooby-Doo villains.
Yeah.
If they had just gone the more subtle route, and there always is a more subtle route,
always,
they probably would have gotten away with it.
But they always want to say, you know, like we talked about, that meddling kids and your stupid dog too. Like, no, it was because you wanted to be dramatic.
I did need to note, though, Miss Handle hated Scrappy's cartoon.
Oh, yes. she walked in with no faith and left with even less.
Well, when they sat down to watch the cartoon before the unmasking and everything, she made a comment. She's like, "This is awful." And after Mr. Dinwiddie was taken away, she says, "Now we can finally get rid of you kids." I'm like, rude? That was really rude.
I mean, because she wasn't the villain, we did establish she's kind of just an asshole.
She's just a bitch.
Yeah. Fuck her and her stupid ass voice. She's mad because she doesn't know how to talk normal. She wants to talk like a squeaking bird. Screeching? Is that the better word for it? Screeching bird?
I don't know. So what was your rating on the Scooby Snackometer for this episode, Shannon?
I gave it a 5.
A 5?
Yeah.
Okay, explain.
So it was either that or a 4.
Okay.
I did not love it, but the second time we watched it, it grew on me slightly.
Uh-huh.
So I gave it a 5.
Okay. So you started off as a 4
yeah.
and you went up to a 5? Okay.
Yeah.
You're going to hate me. I actually had a lot of fun with this mystery.
No.
Like, it actually threw me off. I will admit. I was befuddled that Miss Handle was not Monster Mutt. I gave this episode a 7.
Fuck.
Yeah. I actually gave it a 7. This is my highest rating so far on this podcast. And yeah, I stand firm by it.
Okay.
There was a plot hole here and there, like every episode.
I just didn't like it.
I didn't think... I don't know. The only parts that I feel like would knock it down was the fact that there was a very subtle plot hole where the FBI agent disappeared in the costume trailer. That's not a huge issue to me. Maybe there was another exit that we just didn't see.
Okay.
But, like, the part where Shaggy and Scooby launch into space...
That was a lot.
That was a lot. But at the same time, like, you heard me. I yelled. I was like, what? I was actually, like, having fun with it. So...
I mean, I had fun with the episode.
I'm not saying you didn't. I don't think the mystery was all that bad.
Okay.
I actually think that what Mr. Dinwiddie was doing, aside from the fact that he wasn't being subtle, like, what he was doing actually made sense.
Okay.
So, yeah, I'm going to stick by my 7 for this episode.
All right. Well, let's move on to E-I-E-I-O.
This is the second part of the same episode. So, before we actually discuss this, I just want to ask real quick, how does this compare to a Scary Duel with a Cartoon Ghoul?
Oh, I hated it even more.
Yeah.
This had so much going on.
Okay.
That I didn't know what was going on.
No joke, guys. We had to watch this episode 3 times to get all of the notes that we compiled.
Yeah.
Like, so much was going on.
And I'm sure we even still missed stuff.
Most likely. Like, it's only 11 minutes long, and we had to rewatch it
3 times.
Yeah, we had to watch it 3 times to get everything that we could discuss today. So let's start off with the premise that's provided by Scoobypedia. The kids head over to the Experimental Institute for Evolutionary Improvement of Organisms, also known as EIEIO, to help old Mr. McDonald, the director, discover who is creating monsters with the secret formula that he developed to create large amounts of food. So that just left out the big elephant in the room, more like 30 foot tall mouse.
30 foot tall mouse.
So the episode starts off with a quote that Shannon and I died to. We both found it immensely funny for no reason.
Yeah, no. So they're just driving down the road, and Scrappy goes, very first line of the episode, by the way. It sure is neat to get away from the crime in the city to investigate the crime in the country.
He sounded really relieved.
He did.
Whatever's going on in the country is nothing compared to what's going on in the city.
Like, the city is fucked up.
Yep.
And that's what leads to 2002.
Endgame 2002. So they arrive at EIEIO, again, the Experimental Institute for Evolutionary Improvement of Organisms. And once they arrive, Scooby gets out of the mystery machine and starts singing E-I-E-I-O. Oh, he starts singing
Old
MacDonald.
Which implies that, like, this old MacDonald man was completely and fully aware of what he was naming his farm.
Okay, so here's a question I have. And it's funny, based on what happens right after they arrive at E-I-E-I-O. Scooby goes to a chicken coop, and he pulls out an egg, and then the chicken attacks him. And me seeing this makes me think of, like, the question of the chicken and the egg, like, which came first? So which came first? The Experimental Institute for Evolutionary Improvement of Organisms, or the song E-I-E-I-O?
Oh, because they could just be singing about the guy's farm.
Or they named the farm after the song.
Okay.
Which came first?
So,
the chicken or the egg?
So I think it'd be really cool if the song was named after him. Because it would kind of make sense. Because he has all the animals on the farm that, like, produce all the extra food. Mm-hmm. So, like, he's going to be known around the world. And I think it'd be cool to... I hope that...
That's the case?
That's the case. Because I think that'd be cool.
Just an interesting metaphor, I noticed.
But no, but, like... but also, if I had the name of Old MacDonald, if that's what people called me... And I own a farm? Hell yeah. Hell yeah, it's going to be called E-I-E-I-O.
No question at all.
So, either one I'll go with.
Well, that chicken was tough.
Mm-hmm.
She was not having Scooby taking her egg, her giant egg.
Which is weird because that's probably why she's there. She probably lays like 900 eggs in a day.
She's been genetically mutated in order to create giant eggs.
So, like... I don't know why she's so insulted that her egg's getting taken away. I'm sure it happens 100 times a day.
Well, that's just like the first instance that we encounter animals that are doing crazy shit. So they meet the director, Mr. MacDonald, and he's warning them about how really weird things are going on at the E-I-E-I-O. They're supposed to be creating large abundances of food, and yes. Scooby gets really excited about that. Like, he wants to make out with Mr. MacDonald.
Yeah, basically.
But he says that the food is somehow being contaminated with some kind of a formula that's causing all the animals at the farm to act out in really weird ways.
I don't even know if they were, like, genetically modified for food anymore. I think it was just giving them, like, special other stuff.
Just to see what happens?
Yeah, because, like, the pig would not give you any overabundance on food, but it was as fast as a racehorse.
Which you would think would lead to a shortage of pig meat.
Yeah.
Because you can't catch the pig.
Exactly.
Because it's running.
Well, and then there was, like, the genetically demonized lamb.
Well, okay, so Scrappy encounters the lamb, and he's like, so, like, what's wrong with this lamb? And Mr. MacDonald goes, oh, don't let it fool you. That's a genetic demon. That's how he describes it.
Me explaining my cats to people.
So Scrappy doesn't believe him, and he hops into the fence to play with the lamb, and the lamb goes freaky and beats him up.
And no one questioned it. Everyone was just like, okay, let's move on.
Leave it alone. It's okay.
Fuck that dog anyway.
Oh, Scrappy?
Yeah.
Oh. So they move on to discuss the 30-foot tall mouse. So somehow a field mouse got mutated into this giant monstrosity, which is hiding behind the silo.
Yep.
How is it hiding behind the silo?
Well, it's 30 feet tall.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is that mouse is clearly, like, fatter than the silo. Like, you do not see it behind it.
Movie magic.
Okay.
I'll
accept it, because it's Scooby-Doo in the 1980s. Anything is on the table.
Yep.
So Mr. MacDonald introduces them to his assistant. So how do you pronounce his words like that? Genetic assistant. So we meet his assistant, Mr. Memory.
Which is also the only real scientist we see on this entire episode.
And he's on speed.
Oh, 100%.
He talks a mile a minute, and he's about to take him outside, and Mr. MacDonald tells Shaggy and Daphne, he's like, you better keep a watch on him. And Shaggy responds, more like a stopwatch.
Right.
I thought that was clever. Uh-huh. Very subtle joke. So he takes them outside, and what does he present them to, Shannon?
So I need this in my life. It's a PB&J tree. I 100% need one in my backyard.
Like, it makes the sandwich. Like a finished peanut butter and jelly sandwich growing on the stem.
Yeah, so instead of going out to, like, a bush and picking a strawberry and, like, making your own jam, which, like, high five if you do that, I don't. But, like, so to go out and pick an actual sandwich off the thing, hell yeah, let's go.
All right. And again, this is just normal at this farm.
Oh, yeah. Well, and that's because after that they split up, Daphne goes with Scrappy. I had to make a note of that because that was odd.
Oh, because we think that they hate each other?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so then they run into this milkmaid, Eunice.
So she's milking one of the cows, and she explains that some kind of food that they're feeding the cow allows her to produce 500 gallons
Of chocolate milk.
daily. 500 gallons. That's insane.
Well, and she also mentions that she spills it a lot.
So that would explain the shortage.
So so that's why, we just don't get the full 500 gallons.
Well, the thing is, too, and this is when we kind of get introduced to the trope of this character, she cries. She cries about everything.
Everything all the time.
Good or bad. Like, it can be a good thing, it can be a bad... She's just crying. Like,
Me?
What kind of trauma is causing you to cry like this?
A lot. Well, and she starts crying because she's like, I'm going to lose my job.
Which makes sense.
I'd be kind of bummed because that farm is really cool.
Then stop spilling shit.
I'm clumsy, okay?
Well, we need to put you on a different job task other than milking the chocolate
That's fair.
milk cow.
That's fair. I can pick the peanut butter and jelly tree.
Pick the peanut butter and jelly sandwiches off the tree.
I mean, we see her turning butter later.
Which
I don't understand what that had to do with anything.
That's not scientific. That's not... Like, who's still doing that?
I had to do that one time.
I've done it too, like, as an activity.
Yeah.
Like, not for...
It's a workout.
Oh, it is. Yeah, I agree. But, like, why is she doing this?
No, because it takes way too long.
She would be better off milking the cow that produces 500 gallons of chocolate milk daily.
And spilling half of it.
Yeah.
That'd be still more helpful.
Meanwhile, Scooby and Shaggy, they go to track down Mr. Memory. Mr. Memory turns the corner of this barn, and when they follow and they go around the corner, they run into my favorite character in all of Scooby-Doo now, Parker.
Parker.
Hello, my name is Parker.
So that's where our opening quote came from, was that whole thing. Because, like...
He's bored with his job. He thinks it's boring.
Oh, and he's so mean about it.
Yeah, he's just like... I work here,
but who cares, right?
And then he continues to go, you must be the new farmhands. How boring. Like, what a pretentious asshole.
Right. Well, and then, like, straight up in front of his boss, he's like,
this place is boring. Yeah, basically, yeah.
Fuck this job. I could do so much better.
Right. Well, right before that happens in front of Mr. McDonald, he shows them the pig that runs faster than a racehorse. For reasons I don't know what.
It's because it's a genetic demon.
Is that it? Yeah. So when Parker insults the farm and the job in front of Mr. McDonald says, I want to talk to you about your attitude in my office, which is like, good on you.
Yeah, good job, Mr. McDonald.
Like, you're handling your employees well.
High five.
So Mr. McDonald and Parker go into his office, and Daphne's like, don't worry about a thing. And instantly everything goes to shit.
The 30-foot mouse starts coming out of nowhere and chasing them around.
Causing all sorts of destruction for reasons.
So then the 30-foot mouse comes chasing after them.
Yeah. And after the whole rampage is done, they run into these giant mouse pellets. Like a trail of them.
I was really scared it was going to be mouse poop. Like, when she was like, oh, it's a mouse. And I was like, oh, no. And she goes, pellets, food pellets. And I was like, oh, thank God.
There was a trail of them leading to the silo. And that's when they discover that Eunice, the crying girl, is feeding the mouse the pellets because she feels bad for it.
But, like, you clearly did not carry more than one pellet at a time. So why is there a trail like that?
Oh, I didn't get that either. Like, was the trail already there and then you genetically enlarged them? But then why?
Maybe, but that seems like a lot.
That doesn't make sense either way. Like, okay. So after that happens, the mouse goes berserk and starts chasing them again. So when they're running away from the mouse, Scooby hops on a tractor.
Oh, yeah.
And he goes into the field and he writes out "Relp."
Which, like, could you imagine flying over that and seeing it and just being like, I don't know what that means?
Right. Well, here's what I'm wondering. Does he not know how to say help? Does he actually think the word is "relp"?
Maybe.
And that's when Daphne, Shaggy, and Scrappy, they hop on these horses. And Scooby hops on the super fast pig.
You remember the pig that's faster than a racehorse.
Oh, yeah. So they all start running, and they run past these electrical wires that the mouse almost walks into.
And then Scooby saves the mouse that is trying to kill them.
Yeah. He knocks him out of the way. No, he steps on his foot. He steps on his foot or something.
Yeah.
He pushed him? Okay, so he pushed him down and saved his life. And the mouse is really thankful. He starts kissing on him. Everyone's just kissing on each other this episode. Oh, you know what? I forgot to mention this. So the mouse is like being commanded by a voice.
Oh, yeah, which we are, like, they never explain it.
No. So it's like a horn that's on top of the silo, which wasn't there earlier or any other point of the episode. And the voice is like, go forth, destroy, chase, da-da-da. And then the mouse turns on him and he goes and discovers that it's the fake Mr. McDonald.
Yes.
So earlier, Mr. McDonald came out of his office and was talking to the gang, but he seemed weird and told them that, oh yeah, mystery solved, it's okay, you can go.
Have a great night.
Yeah, bye. So the fake Mr. McDonald is hiding underneath the silo giving commands to the mouse. Mm-hmm. And the mouse turns on him, and it turns out that it's Parker. So I have questions. How did the mouse have to listen to Parker?
The only thing I can think of is when they genetically engineered it, like he put a mind control in there.
But that wasn't explained at all.
Oh, no, not at all, ever. But that's my only guess.
Okay.
Because I'm thinking, like, maybe he tried it out on the pig, and the pig became super fast, and he tried it out on the lamb, because the lamb was a little bit easier.
I think you're giving him a lot of credit.
Well, and then, like, I figure maybe, like, he finally got the perfect recipe and he was going to go put it on something that, like, could actually help him in life. And then he accidentally dropped it on a mouse. And he was like, well, fuck it.
I guess he doesn't care about anything.
I know, and I mean, he was bored. He
was bored. That was one of his justifications for even doing any of this. I was bored.
Right. So, like, you have nothing better to do than experiment on these random animals.
So he basically said that he wanted to take over the farm and make millions on all of the genetic breakthroughs and stuff like that by destroying the farm and all of its property and tarnishing the EIEIO's reputation with a giant mouse that's uncontrollable.
Yep.
Yep, that makes sense.
It's fair.
Daphne was able to determine that the fake Mr. McDonald from earlier wasn't the real one because he wasn't wearing his glasses, and that Parker wouldn't have been able to see through his super thick glasses lenses.
Which is insulting. Like, I know I got shit vision. I know how thick my glasses are.
Yeah.
You don't have to tell me.
The real Mr. McDonald, though, was trapped inside a barrel. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Fair.
And after the mystery solved and Parker away off screen, by the way.
Yeah, we don't see him arrested.
Mr. Memory figures out a way to turn the 30-foot tall mouse back into a regular-sized mouse.
But does not explain that in time.
No. Okay, so here's the weird thing I noticed, and I'm not sure if maybe I'm mishearing it, but the way he explained it was, after I turned him back into a regular mouse, I turned him back into a regular mouse.
Yeah, it was something weird like that.
Something weird. I don't know. He basically said that he wants to give them a gift, and the gift is the 30-foot tall mouse. Which for one moment I'm thinking, because this is right before he reveals that he turned it back into a regular-sized mouse.
Like, hold on, that's a lot of responsibility to just hand me over a 30-foot mouse. I don't know if I can handle that. That is a lot.
So it turns out he's a regular-sized mouse now. He's adorable. And he loves really Scooby. Cute. I couldn't help but name him because now I want to consider him part of the team. I named him Benjamin.
I hope he's in more episodes.
I agree. So what's your Scooby Snack-O-Meter rating for this episode?
So after all that, I only gave it a 2.
Okay.
I hated it. There was so much going on. I didn't understand a single thing. If I have to watch an 11-minute episode 3 times, and all during that time we're still rewinding, so we probably watched it like a 4th time.
Yeah, basically.
You know, that's a lot. And like...
That was a lot that was going on in just 11 minutes.
Yeah. Like, they threw a lot in there. I hated it.
I actually gave it a 4.
Okay.
You know, I was going to go like the average route, but I agree with you. It was jam-packed with nonsense.
Yeah.
But I did find it entertaining at the same time.
No, I liked it. Kind of. Not really.
I will say...
There were decent parts.
I will say the advantage that this episode has as compared to a Scary Duel with a Cartoon Ghoul, based on the rules that were presented in this episode, which are off the wall. Yeah. There's no plot holes. That's one thing I'm always looking for is plot holes, personally, and I couldn't identify really any in this one.
I mean, not really, but like, I feel like we never got full answers on stuff, but I don't know.
I think a lack of answers is different than questions that make the plot not make sense.
That's true.
So, like, for instance, like in a Scary Duel with a Cartoon Ghoul, where did the FBI agent go in the costume trailer? Yeah. How did he get out? I don't know.
Well, and I think it's because they jam-packed so much in there. So we got every detail on everything.
Except the fact that we don't understand how he controlled the mouse.
Yeah. That's about the only plot hole we had, which is fine.
Well, lack of information.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm going to stick with a 4. I thought it was funny. I didn't mind watching it again when we had to rewatch it. It was just, there was a lot, I will admit. Yeah. So, based on all of the averaging and scoring on our Scooby Snack-O-Meter, this pair between a Scary Duel with a Cartoon Ghoul and E-I-E-I-O earn a 4.5.
Which I'm surprised, but I don't hate that.
I'll accept it. Yeah. Any final thoughts before we move on? No. All right.
So now it's time for our fun fact of the week.
We actually have several facts, I guess, about a specific character again. A couple weeks ago we did Daphne, and this week we're going to do a bunch of fun facts about Velma. Woohoo! So something that's really interesting, not really, because we already knew, is that she's a genius. Yeah. She's the genius of the group, and this has been shown to really translate into her career paths outside of Mystery Inc. She has become a researcher at NASA. That's one of the most notable career paths that she goes. Mm-hmm. But she also has worked as an archaeologist, and she's also been a bookstore owner.
Which was weird.
She was an entrepreneur. That was Zombie Island, I believe, that she did that in. As a child, Velma learned martial arts. Oh. Yeah. And she also, as a kid, had a severe fear of clowns.
Same.
That was actually established in What's New, Scooby-Doo. She is shown twice in the Scooby-Doo franchise to have a fascination with the monsters and the villains that they deal with. Mm-hmm. The most common knowledge instance of this is in Scooby-Doo Mystery Incorporated when her and her parents run the Crystal Cove Monster Museum. Yeah. She has all the costumes. She knows everything about every single one. She runs the tours. She actually has a museum like that in one of the DC Scooby-Doo comics, but it's in her own house.
Ooh, that'd be fun.
Yeah, like it's not like a museum, but it's like an archive, I guess. Yeah. And yeah, it's in her own house, which is interesting as well. Yeah. Velma has a variety of interests outside of mystery solving. She knows multiple languages. She loves ice hockey. She enjoys graphic novels, chess, and she's a really big fan of the Hex Girls.
I mean, so am I.
Who isn't?
I love them.
And then another interesting fun fact that is coming straight from Scooby Apocalypse, the current DC Scooby-Doo comic book series, is that she has an eidetic memory.
Oh, I could see it.
She is basically, like, able to retain information, like, 100%. Yeah. Kinda. Yeah, she just kind of passively mentioned it in the comic issue. I don't remember what issue it was. But yeah, she just kind of passively mentions, like, oh yeah, I have eidetic memory. Duh. Now that we're mentioning Scooby Apocalypse, I actually want to backtrack a little bit to some fun facts that I gave a couple weeks ago when we were talking about the gang's siblings. Just kind of a correction, or more of an addition. Because we've mentioned that Velma has sisters, but we actually left out a few siblings that are appearing now in Scooby Apocalypse. So one of the big plot points in Scooby Apocalypse is that the four are responsible for the monster plague in the story.
Yeah.
Well, it turns out the four are actually her older brothers. Her brothers are named Rufus, Hugo, Cheeves, and Quentin.
I'd be evil if my names were any of those.
Yeah. And then another thing, too, Daphne has another sister. Her sister's name is Thalia. We have yet to meet her or know if she's even alive still. But I thought it was interesting with her because she breaks the pattern from Scooby-Doo Mystery Incorporated where all of the sisters have a name that starts with the letter D. I know it's a different canon, but...
I was going to say, she's younger than Daphne?
No, Thalia is older than Daphne. She actually is the favorite. I guess Daphne's always lived in Thalia's shadow in this story, which is actually similar to how she was in the original timeline of Scooby-Doo Mystery Incorporated, too.
Yeah, because she was just the mystery hunter.
Yeah. Just some fun facts that I wanted to throw out on top of this week's because I left those out unintentionally. So what are your thoughts on that?
I always loved Velma. So I always like learning new things about her. Mm-hmm. All of her hobbies I could kind of see, except for martial arts, because I feel like that's something they could mention throughout the series.
You actually learn a lot more about her in Be Cool Scooby-Doo. But, we'll talk about that on another day, I'm sure.
So next week, we're moving on to the 13 Ghosts of Scooby-Doo.
And we're not going to be doing our usual randomizer like we've done in past episodes because the 13 Ghosts of Scooby-Doo is one of 3 Scooby-Doo series that we identify as needing to be chronological in order to make sense.
Yep.
So we're going to watch the 13 Ghosts of Scooby-Doo in order from the first episode. Instead of randomizing it, we're just going to flat out say, next week's episode, we're going to be reviewing To All the Ghouls I've Loved Before. Here is the premise for this episode from Scoobypedia. Forced to land their plane near a village of werewolves, Shaggy and Scooby are tricked into opening the chest of demons and releasing 13 dangerous ghosts.
Same.
A village of werewolves.
And then I'm forced to open a box that contains 13 ghosts.
Yep.
I could see that happening.
The 13 most terrifying ghosts on the face of the earth, according to the theme song of that show.
Well, that would just be my luck.
They just happen to be the worst ones.
Right. Let alone did I fuck up, I actually fucked up.
Basically. Well, it's been probably 7 or 8 years since I've watched this series on the DVD set that came out.
Yeah.
So I really don't have much memory of what it has in store for us. All I know is that, we're right now dealing with just Daphne, Shaggy, Scooby, and Scrappy from the new Scooby-Doo and Scrappy-Doo show. Well, we're going to be gaining 2 regular characters on top of them. We don't get Fred and Velma back. We're going to be dealing with Vincent Van Ghoul and Flim Flam.
Oh.
Do you know anything about either of them?
No, but I really never watched 13 Ghosts, so I don't know.
This is all going to be brand new to you.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us today for this interesting Scooby-Doo review.
And you guys can always contact us on Twitter, and we can talk about this week's episode. Just tweet us at Groovy Scoobcast.
Or you can talk to us on Do Central on either Tumblr or Instagram. Or even email us at thatgroovyscoopcast@gmail.com. And with that, we hope you enjoyed this week's episode.
I just want you to sit back, relax, put your feet up, read the paper, and we'll see you in a decade or 2.
Come back next week for a Scooby Snack-filled time.